Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. This one's going to be a little bit harder for me to get through. I have to admit, this video is going to be a little bit harder for me to get through. In the initial recordings of this video, I kept crying, so I'm going to try my best to kind of edit a lot of that out so you guys don't have to see it, because it's, besides being like embarrassing, it's not something I don't think you guys really want to watch. I'll do my best to get through it, and hopefully I can get something recorded today. So thank you for your patience. Today I want to talk about the denial phase that I was going through in the time that followed my brother's death. For a number of weeks and months, I believe, I wrestled with the fact that he was actually gone. And I remember many mornings waking up thinking that it was all just a dream and that it would just all go away. But when I woke up in the morning and I gathered my thoughts together, I realized it was true. There was one particular dream that stands out to this day because it's literally the worst dream I've ever had. And in that dream, my dad was taking my brother and I fishing. Just as a side note, like in my past, my family loved to go fishing together. It was something both my parents and me and my brother would go do it together as a family. And so we got a lot of enjoyment out of it. So this dream was not a particular surprise. You know, we always go fishing. But this time it was just my dad, my brother, and I. And the place that we were fishing this time was very unusual. It was like some sort of enormous water management system. It had lots of dams everywhere and aqueducts, and they were on like a series of timers, and some of them ran perpendicular to each other, so it was just a large kind of like half a tunnel all over the place. And it turns out like the channelways were easier to walk along, you know, when it was empty. It made it a lot easier because the terrain around it was so rough that we couldn't, you know, easily walk along. But so anyway, we find ourselves walking along in the bottom of these passageways, and everything was going fine. But I've kind of been one of the cautious types, so I would watch the clock. I was always watching the time, trying to figure out, you know, when the bell was going to ring, because whenever the alarm went off, you could hear this enormous siren go, and then that meant that the water was going to soon open, you know, the dam was going to open up and let the water out of the gates. And I wanted to be careful of all this, because at any time, like, hundreds of millions of gallons could come pouring through and wash us away. So, you know, I kept track of that, and we kept walking and walking, and sometimes we did this even in our fishing trips. In our waking life, we would walk for miles at times to get to the right fishing spots. So this was no surprise, so we kept walking, and something about my dad, as the years progressed, he kind of slowed down more. He started having more health challenges, and you know, he would hang back a little bit further. So while we're walking along, my dad started slowing down. So there started to get a little bit of a gap between us and him. So I stopped for a few minutes to try to let him catch up. And in the meantime, my brother kept going out further. And by the time my dad caught up to me, I turned around and looked at my brother, and he was several hundred feet ahead of us. And at this point in time, he had already worked his way into another channel. It was the one that ran perpendicular to ours instead of being in parallel with ours. And to me, that meant that he was on a completely different system, and it was a system that I was not keeping track of the time. I was only keeping track of the time for the water that was going through our system. And I remember he was at this distance, but I was still able to see his face. And in one moment I heard the alarm sound, but it wasn't the alarm for our channel, it was a little bit further away. And I looked at him in his face, and he looked back at me for a few seconds. And then all of a sudden, all this water started gushing in and just swept him away. It hit him like a train, and I had to watch as he got swept away by all this water. And I knew by the massive quantity and the velocity of this water, like it was just, there's no way he survived. And in 1 second, I knew it was like all over. And I woke up from this dream, and I was just, I never screamed or anything, but I almost swear I was screaming. And I was just so devastated in this moment. I was sobbing uncontrollably, and I knew in that moment, like, he was gone, and there was no doubting it at this point. And that was kind of the end of my stage of denial. It was so heartbreaking to watch, because it was like I just watched his life end just like that, and in a few seconds it was gone. And ever since that point, I knew that, you know, it's over, like, he's not here anymore. And that was kind of the starting point for me to realize that, you know, this is true, this really did happen. My brother is gone. And now I had to try to make sense of life after this point. I'm not really sure if this is just something that happens. You know, we have some sort of realization that comes, and it just really reiterates the fact that our loved one is gone. I'm not sure if it was just me, or, you know, if it happens to everyone else, but this was definitely an event that caused me to see things differently from that point on. And it became a point where I had to figure out how to make sense of my life. Where was I going forward from this point on, and how was I going to deal with this realization? So, with that's pretty much the end of this video. In the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the year that followed, because it was a rough year, I'm not going to lie. So I'll get into more of that later. Thank you everyone for watching today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care everybody. Have a great day. Bye.